Hello and welcome to my shot-by-shot breakdown of the final trailer for Aquaman. And you know who else I hope goes through this thing with a fine-tooth comb? Patty Jenkins. Because while to be fair, she certainly paved the way for this movie, and I think it's taking a lot of inspiration from Wonder Woman down to the Disney princess angle. That's right, the newest Disney princess is Jason Momoa. I bet you thought I was going to say Amber Heard, and sure, she qualifies. Mera really is a princess, but I don't know, with that hair, and it is 2018, I think Aquaman should be able to join as well. But while Patty Jenkins cut her teeth on blockbuster filmmaking with the first Wonder Woman movie, and from what we've seen so far, while it looks promising, it doesn't look like this. Because, it goes to show you, Hollywood's enamored with, for these blockbusters hiring like new directors or leveling directors up from smaller movies and giving them a huge checkbook and toy box. But you can see the difference it makes when you get an experienced director in here and they're able to just blow the competition out of the water. Because, James Wan, of course, is coming off of Furious 7, which was his first blockbuster movie. And to be fair, just to show what a talent James Wan is, he didn't really cut his teeth on that either. He hit the ground running. Maybe because of his extensive work in horror, and they've used visual effects to some degree there, so it wasn't quite as big a leap to him. And he's always been very business-minded, very prolific producer, great eye for talent in front of and behind the camera. I'm very happy that he's involved with DC. I'm very, very pleased about it. Okay, so let's break this down. There are a lot of goodies to go over. This looks so good. As I said, it looks like a must-see to me. And I can't imagine anyone being like, it looks like it demands to be seen on the big screen. Okay, here we go. Now here's our opening shot. And that logo there, that doorway, not only looks like the Aquaman symbol, but as it's the literal doorway to Atlantis, as we see later on in a good shot in this very trailer. So I guess this is now the underwater version of it, right? It's sunk and they added cool underwater lighting. They're like, it's depressing that we're stuck underwater now, but let's make it like a nightclub and then we won't feel so bad. But it looks like they've got some California level traffic going in and out of Atlantis there. But it seems Mera has Atlantis Easy Pass, or more likely, as a royal, she can go anywhere she wants. So she's going ahead of the traffic. She's like, suckers, and everyone is like, we hate those people. They think that your time's more valuable than ours. All right, so here, this is a lovely family photo, literally, that they're taking. You can see that they have a little camera set up there. With a timer on it. How quaint, how adorable. This is how they took photos in the olden days. And then you have baby Aquaman there. You can see they put a cool big ring on his father's hand, maybe to show where he gets his penchant for rock and roll jewelry. And they're like, Jason Momoa was like, I've got to wear my trademark jewelry. And they're like, fine, we'll figure out a way narratively for it to make sense, even though it makes no sense to wear such heavy jewelry underwater. Although they have a lot of people in armor, so maybe it would work. But this is interesting to me, all right? So it's a stormy day out there. This is really cozy stuff. So she's telling him a story, a legend of Atlantis, of a king who will unite the people someday, right? The sea and the land. And if I were the father here, I would be like, what? When I heard this, because I'd be like, I thought you really liked me, but apparently you were just trying to maybe make a prophecy come true. She's like, nowhere in the past has anyone hooked up with an actual, surface dweller, so maybe that's how I can make this happen, So I think this is all just a plan to bring this prophecy to fruition. I also have to say, I'm impressed that she has absolutely no slight resentment that the prophecy called for a king to do this and not a queen, right? She and Amber Heard, you think, would be a little bit upset. I'd be like, maybe it was a queen who was going to do all this. And they're like, nope, it's called Aquaman. Damn it. All right, so I like the teddy bear with the fork. And true to form, I guess she's using the teddy bear because they both have a lot of curly, cute hair. And she's like, don't worry, you would think this teddy bear would be useless underwater, but both of you will defy the laws of physics. But the fork is a really great touch. And that kid's adorable, by the way. Oh, he's so cute. You could unite everyone right now. But he smiled at me and told me, wouldn't it be nice if I didn't? I was like, okay. So there's the doorway. You see, going into Atlantis. I wonder what this shot is. Oh, look, and the shields are also shaped that way. When you come to think of it, you can do a lot with an A. There's A-line dresses, too, although you don't see anyone wearing those in Atlantis. but you can see all these cool, really big statues, very Lord of the Ringsy. And also, very Themyscira. And of course, as many of you pointed out, Aquaman, Aquaman's Atlantis and Wonder Woman's Themyscira are often, considered peers. They're people, their lands, and I would love to see some interaction between the two. That's what you want out of a Justice League movie. So he's also standing on the edge of a cliff. I would love it if, Pocahontas style, because she did jump off Pocahontas style anyway. But if in some other case, Wonder Woman would run right past him and she'd like, you snooze, you lose, Aquaman. Because she's a very good swimmer too, as we've seen. So Amber Heard looks amazing. She looks so great. Her hair is great. Her makeup is great. That costume, it's just the right amount of cleavage. It's not too much, to make her, it's the fine line if you want to appeal to women and men who are watching the movie. Wonder Woman did it, and they're doing it just as well with Amber Heard. Although she's really paying attention to her posture there. But she looks so great, I don't even qualify it as voguing. Because she's like, must stick chest out, shoulders back. And Jason Momoa is like, I'm a guy. I can just stand here. So he's like, this is where I learned to swim. So we cut from Mera and her perfect makeup to Volko, who's a little heavy on the eyeliner, quite frankly. But you know what? That's the look he's chosen to go with. I don't know how I feel. There was a big deal made about, white people wearing dreadlocks. So I wonder how everyone feels about sporting a samurai bun, but whatever. I think it does not help that it doesn't look cool. I'm not loving Volko's look. But they've done a very good job casting Jason Momoa's Aquaman through the years, because this kid is also very charismatic. He's like, I already know how to swim. And he's like, like a surface dweller. So, and Aquaman's like, well, that's CGI, wipe off your face when you go into the water, Volko. So, yeah. So Amber Heard's winning, by the way. She's ahead of him. Now this is cutting back to the swimming lesson, and look, their bodies, right here, their bodies do a really cool like a shimmer wave, like Aquatic Life does when they're swimming. And I think that's really cool. I love the way that's mimicked there. They do a great job. So he's like, use your Atlantis vision, and it's like, woo! Like, look what you can. I mean, I wonder if that's true that you can only see this stuff if you're from Atlantis, but it's really beautiful. So look at this. That's great. I think they're doing a really good job. For so long, people have been like, why on earth would I want to be Aquaman? Robot Chicken did a great job making fun of like what good are water powers in most situations. But I think they're doing a great job selling, particularly there's so many people who love to surf and be near the ocean. This is the superpower for you. And they're giving it a lot of dignity, and I just think it's great. Like, who wouldn't want to swim with dolphins? Gives a new definition to swimming with the fishes. You'd be like, oh, it's no longer a threat. You'd like, mean like Aquaman? I'd love to. So that's great. So there he's learning to fight. The fight choreography also here is very impressive. We'll go through it when we get to some later shots. So there he is, all grown up, wearing some mega rings like his dad. He looks great. He looks so heavy, though. He also seems to be wearing some eyeliner. But as I said, he's the new Disney princess. But I mean, like, he looks really heavy to me. Like, I have, like, no faith that Jason Momoa would float. I think he'd go straight to the bottom. But luckily, he has Aquaman powers. So there he is. That's great. He's like, and I'm wearing leather. And I'm like, I love it. Go full throttle. Jason Momoa is like, that's the only speed I know. So this is great. I love the music that plays over this, by the way. The music is composed by Rupert Gregson Williams. And Rupert Gregson Williams and his brother Harry Gregson Williams are two of my favorite composers. Harry Gregson Williams did one of my favorite soundtracks of all time for another seafaring film, Sinbad, the Legend of the Seas, the DreamWorks animated movie. Rupert Gregson Williams, though, also did the Wonder Woman music, although this, to me, is more distinct. The Wonder Woman theme, which I believe Hans Zimmer did, is really great. But this, I mean, I love that this has like a synthesizer, like it has a little bit of a nostalgia feel to it, like almost 80s, which I think makes this movie feel more like an instant classic, which I think is great. So they're showing what the Trident can do. Now this is a new shot of Orm. He looks so cool. This is incredibly comics accurate, although you would never think this would translate to live action, speaking of dignity, with any dignity. It looks fantastic. And I also like the silver choice now suddenly for the armor, because, you know, before you'd be like, that doesn't look particularly menacing. But when you think about it being underwater and, you know, even above the water like it is here, this is some kind of, it looks like some kind of attack vehicle for the surface world, maybe that Orm has commissioned. Orm's not going to build that himself. He's a king. Delegate. He's just going to ride it. We'll speak about him riding something later on in this trailer. But with the silver reflective surface, I think he could really disappear in the water, in the rain, and bubbles. I mean, I think it's very good. It creates almost like perfect camouflage. I think it's great. I don't know how Edna would feel about that cape that he's wearing, but, you know, we'll see. So this fight that he has with, we'll go to that in a minute, with Jason Momoa, I think looks really well choreographed. There are a couple of shots in here. It looks like it's going to be a lengthy sequence. I love that these jellyfish are indoor lighting. Although, as I said before in another trailer, if all these creatures are sentient, I guess that's like a job for jellyfish in Atlantis. What do you do? I'm lighting down at the amphitheater. I get to see all the shows for free. Here we go. Here, they say he's the one true heir, and he's got a Moana necklace that he's wearing there himself. I told you, he's a Disney princess. So they go underwater. And I love that Dolph Lundgren isn't even giving this guy, you know, Orm. He's not even trying to make it look like maybe he believes him. He looks so super skeptical. He's like, but I guess he's going to go along with it. Look at the seashell on his arm. That's really cool. This is the style armor that we saw Aquaman sporting. He has also like a Disney princess. So many costume changes. But, you know, Dolph Lundgren and Jason Momoa make it work. He's like, I got a seashell on my shoulder. And you're like, you wouldn't think that would be manly and cool, but it is. So look at this. Now there's Orm on his alligator, or his prehistoric alligator. I forget the term off the top of my head. But I love the way he's riding that thing. And apparently he's fighting stormtroopers because they can't hit that thing. I'm like, maybe they can't hit Orm, but the prehistoric alligator that he's on is huge. You would think you have no problem hitting that. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they're aiming for Orm, but if I were their commander, I'd be like, just hit the giant thing he's riding, it'll fall off. That's great. He doesn't, that thing's very well trained. They just keep going. They're like an alligator out of hell. I love it. It's so cool. And I like the choice of like the orange and red firing underwater. It looks great. Orange and blue, one of the most potent combinations visually. You know, they use it in movie posters all the time. This is a whole movie of that. Now I love this. They're outside a bar, Tony's Sunken Galleon. I think it's Tony's. Yeah, I think it says Tony's. Tony or Tammy. But I love it. It's a bar. It's so Jason Momoa. He turns to Mera and he's like, you're in my world now. And I think it's the one he's eating with his father. So it's a wholesome bar. During the day, you know, it's you can get lunch there, and in the evening, it's a honky-tonk. So here's Volko all grown up himself, and they're like, we're going to go and get this. It's literally a treasure map. We're going to go and get this trident. I love the thumb holes, by the way. I love them. I would love to buy like an Aquaman Atlantis style shimmery shirt with thumb holes. I think it would be great. They should sell those. I'd actually come to think of it, why aren't they? But this is a great moment. I love when Aquaman's like, I already got one of those. And they sell the comedic bit visually. They really commit to it. It's not like Jason, they're like, okay, I wish this wasn't in here, but let Jason Momoa do his thing. They're like, no, we're going to back him up. And it's amazing. It really sells it. It's hilarious. I laughed during my trailer reaction. I think it's fantastic. Although, clearly, that's silver, and the trident that Volko's showing him is gold. So Volko's like, I should have maybe also schooled you at actual school instead of just your athletic training. So he's like the Sebastian of this movie. Now look at this. I love this fight choreography. And look at Jason Momoa move. You know, if you're going to use Jason Momoa, use Jason Momoa, who's very good at physicality. I love the bubbles too that are coming around as they fight. And there's a little bit of drag, a little bit of pull to really emphasize, even though they can fight underwater better than you and I, they still have a little bit of that effect. I just think it's so cool. It looks really good. Now look at that. Orm does a total Matrix move here. You can see the trident, because the tridents themselves also don't cut through the water quite as well. They have I wonder, you would think they would be made to cut through the water more, whereas it seems they actually create some drag themselves because of the prongs. They are giant forks. You're going to see Patrick Wilson use one kind of as a fork in a moment. But you know, you can see it creates this pocket of water around it. But I love that Orm is thinking so many steps ahead. He's not even like, oh yeah, I missed it. He's not even thinking. He's already like, what's my next move? I am waiting. What's taking you so long, Trident, to pass over my head so I can spring into action? Very cool. Patrick Wilson is a great choice here. And I love them twirling together. It's almost like a dance. And you can see the Trident creating these bubble waves as they go around. That's so cool. Now they're going plummeting. Next level, they're plummeting down to like the fiery molten lava of this arena. We'll go back to that. You'll see. They're like, oh yeah, Black Manta's in this movie. Apparently, there's an end credit scene that sets him up as a bigger villain in the future. So he's obviously, clearly, as you can see, a secondary, more henchman kind of person here. And I guess after the fall of Orm, he'll be like, guess I'm going into business for myself. So his dad's like, your mom believed in you so much that she took my life. Unknowingly, she should have at least come to me and said, so there's this prophecy in my world, how'd you like to have a famous kid? He's like, okay, instead of pretending to be washed up on the shore outside of the lighthouse. Whatever, lady. So look, Orm uses, I guess he slowed himself down somehow and uses the trident as like a fork and gets himself a chunk of molten lava to spring back up at Aquaman. Although I gotta say, also, those pants are leaving nothing to the imagination, particularly when lit up that way by the lava. I'm sure Orm has a lot of fans in the audience himself. Although I have to say, I thought that Jason Momoa's helmet here was ridiculous, but when he smashes through that lava, he looks like a sun god. He looks like a god. It's really cool. And I guess in some ways he and Wonder Woman are gods. Well, she's literally a demigod. Aquaman, I guess, is like, I'm a full god. Although I wonder where Poseidon is, come to think of it. That's interesting. I hope they settle that. So there we've seen before that stuff with Nicole Kidman fighting the Aquamarines at the lighthouse. But here you can see, I believe they're actually chasing down here Black Manta's ship. And there he is. That's a great shot of him. He looks so cool with the underlit with the blues and the purples. He's probably like, this stupid little knife's not going to do anything for me. And they're like, it's not, but let us give you an upgrade weapons-wise. How'd you like to fire blasts out of your face? And Mera's like, I can do it out of my hands. Everybody's got 2 blasts. That looks really cool. I'm not loving the tiara on her. You know, I never really liked the tiara on Wonder Woman either, but they found a way to make it look really good there. I think this still looks a little bit too much like a crown. I've never been a big tiara person. You know, some princess, I love Disney princesses, but I've never been big on tiaras. And I think I love her hair so much. I'm like, don't constrain it in any way. I think the good thing about Wonder Woman's is that it's kind of like a headband tiara, so her hair is still able to do its cool thing. But you know, Amber Heard doing her thing with the hydrokinesis is really neat. But I'm excited to see her use her hydrokinesis in full. It's a very cool power. And also that looks incredibly comics accurate, which makes me very happy. All right. So she's like, oh, they've always had a king. This is a great shot. Like, I did this, you know, when I was watching it in the reaction. It's a really clever thing for James Wan to do. It makes it more fun. By the way, here are Atlantis' soldiers, and they're riding sharks. I looked it up. Sharks, for the most part, are considered an endangered species. But apparently, Atlantis is hoarding them as, you know, animals for combat. Although maybe, as I've said before, the sharks are in on it, right? And they're kind of like these duos that go into battle. And the sharks are like, man's been hunting us, making us endangered. We will fight for you, Atlantis. That's really cool looking. Now look at that. This to me is interesting. Do you see the waves radiating from his hands? Is Aquaman going to call the fishes for help? I think there's a very good chance he will. That's going to be so great. And to make that cool, it looks cool here. If they can actually make it work in the movie, that'll be amazing. I think also because Jason Momoa just has such cool, masculine, awesome hands, and they're so huge, he's really selling it. If I were a fish, I'd be like, maybe I'll listen to him. So, a lot of underwater fighting. You know, we just look at it and go, cool. But, you know, it's like the Star Wars space battles. It's real kudos to the VFX team who create every little element of that. It's fantastic. Don't take VFX for granted. This is like a whole movie of VFX. I hope that it's a winner for visual effects at the Oscars this year. And he's like, I make this orange shirt work. And that's not easy either. Jason Momoa makes this whole thing work. It's amazing. Although he's getting amazing. You know, we've talked a lot recently about management teams and directors backing up their talent. And, you know, Star Wars directors have thrown a lot of their talent under the bus, particularly in The Last Jedi. But here, Jason Momoa is being taken such good care of. It's amazing. And they are putting him forward. You know, they're supporting him. Instead of them being like, this sucks that he was cast. What are we going to do with him? They're like, Jason Momoa is our Aquaman. Let's do this. and do what they have. I think it helps that James Wan is kind of a rock and roll guy himself, so I think he gets Jason Momoa, and that's excellent. I think this looks so good. I cannot wait for it to hit theaters. I hope it's a big hit. They certainly couldn't have done more. I think if there's anything left, it's a marketing situation, and also just having to regain audiences' trust after what happened with Justice League. All right, so thanks for going over this with me. Write your thoughts down below. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.